What do you think about digital ID?
Rubbish.
Why? Why?
Why? Invasion of privacy.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Jerry. I'm here with Yellow Boards London at West Kensington, and we're talking about the very difficult subject of digital ID, which this government is trying to rush through without any mandate from the people. In fact, over 3 million people, or up to 3 million people, signed a petition saying they didn't want digital ID. And then I've heard that actually the petition was stopped or switched off. Apparently it was going to be too embarrassing for the government to see what level of dissent there was in the population. For people who don't know, digital ID is not a benign thing. It will lead to a social credit system like there is in China at the moment. Because once digital ID comes in, they will have all your data, and I mean all your data, all your medical data, your bank records, where you go, who you see, what you meet, what you eat, everything that you do and say and virtually think will be able to be on this one thing, which could be your phone. They're sort of talking about a brick card, but they actually want it to be on your phone. They want everybody to carry a phone with a one key. Who holds that key? The government holds the key. Why should the government hold the key to every single piece of data that you have?
I don't need a digital ID. I don't want a digital ID. I want to be free. I don't want the state knowing everything about me. There's a thing called privacy, and I think that should be respected. I think for a citizen of a country, freedom is about being free. We have certain regulations, we have certain laws, but the state doesn't need to take that further and start looking into our privacy, our bank accounts, our health, our travel arrangements. In other words, the state can look into all of that through digital IDs. And I don't want that. That's an erosion of freedom. That's over-controlling of the state, over-regulation of the state. And if you look at history, that's where fascist countries end up. That's where countries end up where citizens don't have a lot of freedom. I think freedom of thought is one of the most important things for a citizen. To be free to think as you want and to develop your own critical thinking. That's so important.
It will turn into a social credit system, and if you do something they don't like, they'll be able to switch you off and you won't be able to do certain things. It'll mean the end of freedom as we know it for us, for our children, and for future generations, for humanity. What did those poor soldiers die for in the war that we've just celebrated the end of? World War I, World War II, and all the other conflicts. They died to preserve our freedoms that we are giving away because we're too lazy to use cash. We're too frightened to stand up to the government. Apparently in Italy, they're demanding a general strike if the government don't back down on digital ID. We must do the same here.
And today, I don't believe a lot of what things that we are being told, official government narratives. I think you should question everything. Socrates recommended that many, many years ago. Question everything. Always question authority. Always develop your own critical thinking. So you make up your own mind for yourself, not what you're told. Always question what you're told. And I think a very good rule these days is over the last number of years, things have escalated in the way I interpret things. And a very good rule is always believe the opposite of what you're told. So if you're told something is safe and effective, actually, maybe you should believe the opposite to that. If you're told, China are our enemy, maybe you should believe the opposite. They're actually our friend. So question everything. That's what I would say.
I do not want digital ID. It's a complete overreach by the government. I want to go and buy things unbeknown to them. It's my business, not theirs. It's just a massive step too far.
We do yellow boards in various places in London. We go out twice a week in all weathers. If it's torrential rain, not, because the boards get soggy. But if it's cold or warm or hot, we go out. And we have got a lot of people are really unhappy about this digital ID. We ask them to beat their cars if they agree with us. And we give out leaflets on the street. And we think we're going to start leafleting local areas, because I spoke to a neighbour today about digital ID. She'd never even heard of it. Never even heard of it. And when I told her what it was for, she went, "Oh, but the government wouldn't do that. Why would the government do that?" I said, "Well, they are doing it." And I gave her a leaflet, and she was rather shocked. There's a level of ignorance too, so we must go and tell everybody. You mustn't be afraid of dissenting. We are the people who have the power. We're the 99%. The government is supposed to be working for us. They are our servants, not the other way around. They invert everything. We must stand up for our rights, for our children, and for the future generations.
Ooh, beautiful, beautiful. Make some noise, make some noise. Come on. Come on, come in, ring your bell. Beautiful.
Join the protests. I think that is so important. That's one of the few things you can do. Of course, on a personal level, you can change your lifestyle. You can, buy your food in farmers markets, try to stop shopping, try to boycott the corporate businesses that have taken over our economy. Try and not choose where you spend your money. That's what you can do. It's only a tiny thing, but you were very limited in what we can do. I think with voting, I like the idea of do not comply, spoil your vote. If you feel there's no choice, what's the choice between Labour and the Tory? What's the choice? So if a lot of people spoil their vote, that would really say something. I think that's something you could do. It'd be nice to have a campaign to do that. That happened recently in Ireland with the presidential election. A huge amount of people spoiled their vote. That's democracy, because what's the choice? I think more and more today, people feel they have no choice. So what's the choice? That's another choice that you can do.
It seems an impossible task, but the first thing you must try and do is keep using cash and support those businesses that use cash. People have got very lazy. They say, well, it's so convenient to tap, tap, tap. But what are you going to say to your children? I couldn't be bothered to use cash, and now you're in this digital gulag with 15-minute cities where you can only do and say what the government tells you to. They're already imprisoning people for infringing free speech, or what the government thinks they shouldn't be saying. The other thing you can do is write to your MP, hassle your MP, say we don't approve of digital ID. You can shop less online. You can go in person to shops, and you can you can go into Sainsbury's and people where they're trialing facial recognition. Please give me all your data that you've just taken from me. It's infringing GDPR rights. We must stand up. We must realise what is happening, what is coming fast down the track. Stand up for your rights. Stand up for freedom. I can't think of another way at the moment to resist, but perhaps you can go out and create leaflets and go and give them around your local area. Talk to everybody that you can. Currently, at the moment, we still have cash, which is our only little element of freedom because they can't track and trace it. But once they bring in the digital pound, or the digital currency, the central bank digital currencies, they will then be able to switch you off at the drop of a hat. If you infringe one of their rules, you probably won't even know what rule you've infringed. You might have tweeted something. They're going to attach it to your carbon credit if this net zero madness goes ahead. And they'll be able to, if you eat too much meat, they might say, oh, well, you now only have to eat, GM bugs for the rest of the week. I mean, it sounds outlandish. It sounds crazy. But the people who are proposing this are, frankly, slightly mad. Why do they want to totally control us? They must be infringing current legislation, human rights legislation. It's certainly unlawful. And as I said, nobody has voted for it.